Hello, I'm 𝗬𝗵𝗿𝗆, founder and CTO of TechIDManager. Welcome to August 1st, 2024 public live demo. I'm gonna give it a second here to make sure that I get a thumbs up from the background production staff that we're actually live and that everything is working and that I have sound and a voice, because one of these I did early on in doing these. One of the ones I did didn't have sound. I did the entire thing and my microphone was not turned on. So it was quite disturbing to do the whole thing. And then I wasn't paying attention to the comments. So people said you don't have sound, but then I couldn't hear it. But we just got the thumbs up from my little minion over there that says, hey, we have sound, we're all good to go. So I'll begin. Welcome. Like I said, I'm 𝗬𝗵𝗿𝗆. I started Ruffian software. We wrote a product called TechIDManager, and that is what you're here to see. So I'll tell you some about why the product exists, and then I'll actually show you the product live. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments, all right? So I worked at an MSP for about 12 years, and we had a bunch of security software we deployed, a bunch of things we tried to do to help clients become more secure, phishing testing, pen testing, antivirus software, endpoint, backups, all these things. And I started reading some of these cybersecurity guidelines, some of the compliance framework stuff. And there was a gap, a blind spot in what we had done for our compliance. That blind spot was privileged access management or privileged account management or privileged access control. PAM, PAM, or PAC. There are a bunch of different acronyms for it, IAM. And the issue really was when us as technicians accessed our clients' networks, we shared one account to do that access. And it didn't matter what you really did around that account. If you put a password in a password vault and had two-factor to get into that password vault, then still when you logged into that client network, that two-factor didn't count for the security framework, the compliance. It doesn't count for MFA for logging into that account because you can remember that password and use it to log in again. So the true issue is at the point of connecting to the client network, you have to have unique accounts, you have to have traceability, accountability, you need all those things. And it doesn't count. It doesn't really, for the security frameworks, it doesn't count, it doesn't mean anything if you have compliance and two-factor and all this protection and VPNs and firewalls back here. But then when you actually collect to the client network, it's just a username and a password that everybody is sharing. You have some traceability, but two people look at the password on the same day, you don't have that traceability. Or at the same time before it's rotated. So looking at this problem and reading all the compliance stuff, it became clear that the proper way to do technician access to client domains, networks, Azure tenants, client software, any of that thing, was each MSP technician needs their own account. Not just their own account at the MSP network, but their own account at the client network. So the MSP I worked with, we had 25 technicians. We serviced 400 plus clients. That meant if we wanted to give everybody a unique account with their own name, their own place, that was 10,000 accounts, because 400 clients, 25 accounts at each place, that's 10,000 accounts to create, maintain, rotate passwords on, set rights on, and not everybody is the same level of technician. Some people need more rights than other people. Some people are just maintaining backups. Some people are setting up the domains. Some people are just helping, some technicians are just helping end users swap mice out. So they just need to log in and basic rights, not really be admin, domain, or enterprise admin, or SQL admins, or anything like that. There's different levels of technicians, just have different levels of rights. So this became instantly a huge management problem. If you're a smaller MSP, it's a geometric growth problem as you grow, which is what we're all after here. Add technicians, add clients, the math there just makes it explode real fast. So you have to automate that. There's no other way around it. Sharing one account and one password, doing all these crazy things I've seen people do with MFA, where they have one cell phone that sits in the office that the MFA all comes to, that then they text out, or a cell phone connected to Teams, which then sends out the codes, or an authenticator or a TOTP that's shared in the password vault with the password that everybody uses the same one when they look it up. Those are all incrementally good steps, but they aren't the correct step. They aren't the right thing to do. The right thing is have a unique account for each technician. Get that traceability, get that accountability. Fill in that blind spot that is just a gaping hole you can drive a truck through. If you lose a technician, they remember passwords. Because the technician you really need to think about when you envision solving these problems is some people have photographic memory. Some people have really good memory. They can just remember the passwords. They don't need to look them up every time. So if somebody accesses a client on a regular basis and they know that password, then they're just going to reuse it, and you're not going to get that log in the password vault that they looked at it because they just know it, or they wrote it down somewhere, something like that. So the proper solution, like I said, is a unique account for everybody everywhere. TechIDManager does, we automate that privileged account management for technicians accessing client networks. We make an account for everybody. We set the rights specific to that person in that place. We rotate passwords every 24 hours, so you don't get a stale password in your password vault. Every technician has credentials unique to them with a password that's rotating every 24 hours. We do this for Azure. We do this for domains, and we do this for local machines, local Windows machines. So if you have work groups, if you have domain controllers, if you have Azure tenants, you have Intune joined machines, we're looking at adding agents for Linux and Mac in the future before the end of the year. There's a lot of stuff that we can do. And we do that privileged account management a lot of different ways. But what's important, additionally, not only do the technician have each have their own unique account, it's important that it is efficient to use. So how efficient can it be to look up a unique password for every client you need to connect to? Whenever you need to connect to it, let me show you that. This, over here, is the tech client. This is a piece of software that runs on the technician's computer. It is a thick client for very specific security reasons. Every technician has their own private public RSA key pair that encrypts their credentials specific to them. We'll cover that more in a little bit. But how easy is it to use these credentials? Well, let's look here. Let's say a technician needs to connect to this client. It is a machine on the 𝗫 domain. So as a technician, I need my username and my password to get logged in the 𝗫 domain. I bring up the tech client. I click search. Tech client went out on my computer and looked at all the windows I have open. It knows which ones are on top, which ones are remote connection tools, where those remote connection tools are attempting to connect by looking around at the window, and says, oh, of all the credentials you have in this big long list, you probably want this 𝗫 credential. This is the credential I want. 𝗏𝗏𝗏black.mit-admin@𝗫.org. I can see my password changed around midnight last night. I could look at my password, but I could copy my username and paste in here. I could copy my password and paste in there. But much easier. I'm going to tell a tech client, just inject both of my credentials into this window. And the tech client is going to inject my username, _black.mit-admin@𝗫.org, and inject my password, which was whatever, full random 16 to 64 character password that it made up, injected it, and got me as a technician logged in so that I can do what I need to do. I went from login prompt to logged in with an account that was unique to me, with rights that are unique to me, with a password that rotated in the last 24 hours. I did all of that as a technician with 3 button clicks. And I'm logged in. The same thing happens for an individual Windows computer. The same thing happens for an Azure tenant. With the Azure tenant, or if you have MFA set up, it's specific to the technician. We even have built-in MFA. So that if there was MFA set up here, we could copy the TOTP and inject it direct in. Same thing with an Azure login. It's direct to the technician because it's specific to each person. That means that everything I do from this point on, after I've logged in, is traced to me, is logged to me, is accountable to me. And these are the things that are important for all the cybersecurity compliance. PCI, SOC 2, HIPAA, NIST, CIS, they all say in a myriad of different and sometimes convoluted ways, the requirements that they have come down to unique traceable accounts for each person. That is what TechIDManager does. We do it for a variety of different types of environments in a variety of different ways. If it's related to privileged accounts, we do it. We do unique domain accounts. We do LAPs, So that local admin account on a machine, we can take that over. Like this administrator account, we can take that over, rotate the password on it, make sure it stays enabled, share it with some people. We do a lot around that. We can do it for service accounts, so that you can get service account password rotation. We can do it for auto logon machines. If you have a privileged account management or privileged account need, TechIDManager either solves it or you let us know what it is and we can help you solve it. Our growth and our strategy is to take my experience as working in MSP and feedback from partners and grow it into a product. That to become the privileged account management and secrets management platform that MSPs and VARs love and use. So those are the managed passwords. And we understand that you don't want to have multiple places to keep passwords. And we also are humble enough to understand we don't rotate every password out there. There are passwords on specific devices like a camera where you just can't put an agent to rotate a password and make accounts. So we have a password vault that does unique shared credentials with unique RSA encryption keys for each technician. We do this in a zero visibility or a host-proof hosting mechanism. That means we can't see your passwords or your credentials. We do this for all of the credentials that we store. And this, let me bring up our overview here. This is a very important piece. We'll look at the bottom here and talk about these encryption keys. Each technician has their own private asymmetric encryption keys. Asymmetric encryption is this magical math thing that was invented a long time ago, and it works like this. There are two keys. There is this private key, and there is a public key. The public key you give to everybody in the world. You can freely give that public key away. That goes on our cloud. It goes to every agent. Every technician's public key is just given away. All the public key can do is the public key can encrypt information. It can take that unique random password we generate, encrypt it, make it into this encrypted string that even if you have the public key and this encrypted string, you can't get the password back out from that. You can't get the plain text from that. We pass only that fully encrypted information to our cloud to store it, or to your cloud if you want to self-host all of TechIDManager. Whole product is self-hosted, self-hostable. You can do that, or we can host it for you, either one. That encrypted information is the only thing that's ever passed over the wire or stored in the cloud or sent back to the technician. Only the technician has the private key to decrypt those credentials. The technician's computer is the only place that those credentials ever go from the encrypted string to the plain text that can be seen and used. This is so paramount. We're at CompTIA this week, and we're talking to a bunch of other MSPs, and one thing that is becoming big question mark in MSPs' minds is our clients are putting all their data in these SaaS apps. How can we help them protect their SaaS apps and the data that's in these SaaS apps? And the honest answer is, you can't. That data becomes owned by the SaaS company. If the SaaS company, SolarWinds, ConnectWise, like Kaseya, the list goes on and on. If one of those gets hacked, all that data is leaked. All that data is known. And there's nothing you as an MSP can do about it. What you have to do is use SaaS products that have host-proof hosting or zero visibility hosting, so that if that data is ever stolen, it's useless. And that's what we have done with this particular layout of public and private keys, where we never have access to the private key to decrypt that information. The information that we're hosting, or if you host it as self-hosted, we would love you to host it self-hosted. Look in the database, pull out what is stored there, and you will see that it is encrypted information that is useless because it has to be combined with a private key on the technician's computer to become text that's usable as the password for their account, or for the OTP or the TOTP for their account to get logged in. So this underlying mechanism of encrypted information that we can't see, only the technician can see, every technician has their own private key that's automatically generated. That is the basis for the trust in which we are asking from you, where we can't see your information. It's all encrypted. We just create it and pass it around for you. You can see that. We can prove that. You can use any number of tools to look over the data that goes over the wire, such as Wireshark, and see that we're not passing anything in plain text. This is something that is significantly different from all other SaaS tools, password vaults out there, things like that, the use of asymmetric encryption to make sure it's the same as end-to-end encryption and then some of the messaging tools you'll all see out there. It is a very powerful mechanism. This powerful mechanism that we use is the same mechanism we use for the managed passwords and even the password vault where things can be shared. That's what we do. We keep secure and encrypted information. We pass it around, but let you pass it around and choose who can see what. And we make and manage privileged accounts. So this can be one place that your technicians go to get all of the password and secret information that they have or that you have, and you as a manager control what they have access to and their logs about when they've looked at it, when they've used it, when it got rotated, all that kind of thing. All right, you can see here there are a bunch of little red X's. Like I said, we do privileged account management in a variety of different ways to suit what you or your technicians need, or you and your clients need. There are, like we have just-in-time accounts. So if you want to enable this just-in-time account, so let me set the stage a little bit here let me set the stage a little better here. I'm a technician, Martin. A manager said that at some point in the future, you might need access to the 𝗂𝗵𝗿 network to do some work there. So they allowed me the privilege of having a just-in-time account there. That account does not exist until I need to use it. When I need to use it, I come to the tech client. I see here this little clock face is a just-in-time account that's currently disabled for me on that network. It means that account either doesn't exist or it's disabled, has no rights. I would like to use it. I click enable. In the next 60 seconds, the TechIDManager system is going to create that account for me if it doesn't exist. It is going to set the rights on that account that are specific to what the manager said I could have at that place. And it's going to enable that account. It's going to set a password on that account that is brand new, full random, encrypted, and send it back so that just I can see it. So just I can read it. Then I'll be able to use that account. That account will stay enabled for some duration of time. We choose the duration of time. You can configure it. As a manager, you can configure how long the account stays enabled. By default, it's 2 hours. So in 2 hours, that account will get disabled. All the rights will be removed from that account, and a password will be set on that account that is never told to anyone. But that account is not deleted. And it is very important from a security and compliance perspective and from a usability perspective that that account stays around and continues to exist. That account stays around because the next time a technician needs access in that same place, or I as a technician need access to the 𝗂𝗵𝗿 network, that same account will be re-enabled, rights re-provisioned to it, a brand new password set on it, that new password being encrypted and sent back to me. That way there is continuity of logging, tracing, and history from both sides of any sort of audit or fiduciary or fiscal or anything like that, both when the client's network gets audited and looked at, or if you audit and look at it, everybody can see in a consistent, well-understood manner that Martin was the one that did that on the 𝗂𝗵𝗿 network. This account belongs to Martin. Only he used it. He did it. He used it here. He used it 3 days later here. He used it 7 days later here. You'll see other products that do just-in-time that don't use the same account. They use randomly named accounts. They use accounts that are created and destroyed and deleted and gone from the network when they're not enabled. And that leaves you with this account named 𝗫𝗏123ABC did something here. This account 𝗫𝗏6569111 did something here. And then you have to go back as an auditor. You have to go back and say, well, what tool created those? You have to go back. You have to look at a secondary source, usually inside the MSP, to determine who did what. That means that that audit actually flows from one place to the next to find all the information that's necessary to correlate it, instead of all being in the non-repudiary source that is the authentication mechanism for whatever that client is. Like for 𝗂𝗵𝗿.net, it's a domain. Or if it's an Azure tenant, we do the same thing in Azure tenants. You have, you can tell a technician that they have an account like this Azure account that they can enable and use on Azure. This account in Azure does not have to be a global administrator account. We can do all of the privileges you have in Azure, all 200 plus rights, so that when a technician gets their account inside Azure to log in and do whatever, they log in. They have MFA that is set up specific to them, and it's the same account between instances, so the same MFA on their specific phone, whether it's Microsoft Push, through the Microsoft Authenticator, whether it's TOTP inside of the tech client here, however you choose to set that up, they're authenticated both as unique and with MFA specific to them. So that's the technician's experience. There's a bunch of other things. There's a bunch of sorting, filtering, if you want to type and find things, if you want to organize things into trees and narrow down the clients. There's a lot of organizational, all that stuff that you'd expect around it. There's a mobile app, one of my favorite features in the mobile app, because I used to be a field technician. If you bring up the mobile app and you look, you've got got all your accounts in the mobile app. You select one, this one. You've got your account listed, password in tiny little 16 character password there that's full random. D, lowercase o, capital D, X, U. I can click on that and have it broken down into giant characters that I can easily set the phone down beside the computer, type it in, not get lost, and not be confused about what is what when I try and log in using the mobile app. Because we love our field technicians. I have been that technician in the field who was given a sticky note with a 32-character password on it. And I was told to go log into the machine and fix this thing. I walk up the machine, enter the username, ask for the password. I start typing this 32-character long password. 31 characters later, I'm done typing. I don't know what character I missed, where it was. I only get 3 tries to enter before the account locks. So I know what that's like. When we do all the things we can to help technicians be more efficient at their job, easier, all that kind of stuff. Along those lines, we have dark mode, if that's what your technicians use. We have all the things that help people out. All right. So that's an overview of the tech client. We would love to show it to you in more detail. We would love to have any questions. If you have any questions, put them in the doobly-doos, the comments down below, and we'll answer them. We would love to show you how TechIDManager can specifically work for you and help do privileged account management at your MSP or VAR. Go to TechIDManager.com, top right corner, request demo, or there are even installation instructions there if you just want to jump right in and get going. If you go to TechIDManager.com, partner resources, installation instructions, these are straightforward instructions to get the product installed and working in all the different ways that it can be done. All right. If you would like us to do that with you, we offer a white glove install. So you just click white glove install. Oh, wait. It helps if I'm actually showing the screen when I'm talking about the screen. So like I was saying, if you go to TechIDManager.com or ruffiansoftware.com, it will look like this. Along the top, there's partner resources, installation instructions. If you click there, these are the instructions to install the product and make it work in all the places that it works. We attempt to be as transparent as possible. Nothing is locked behind paywalls. Nothing is extra features. There's one set price for the product per month. We host it. If you have any questions, we're available support at ruffiansoftware.com. If during the install you have any questions or you'd like us to go through with the install with you, there's a link right here for a white glove install. Click that, schedule some time, pick some time that you want to install, schedule it, and we'll help you do that. All right? If you have any more questions, put them in the comments or request a demo and set up a time to have a direct one-on-one conversation with us about TechIDManager and how it can help you cover that blind spot that is technician access to client networks and traceability and accountability and security compliance with that. All right? Thanks for being here. Have a great day. We love y'all, and we'll talk to y'all later.